Microsoft has spent the last few years refining the Surface Pro series. Each new generation brought incremental spec bumps and slight design changes, and this time around is pretty much the same. The company is giving the Surface Pro 7 newer processors, improved microphones, and some Surface Pen software updates. Most important of all, though, there is now a USB-C port. At last! But when the biggest update here is a new socket, you need to ask yourself how badly you need a new Surface Pro. If you've seen a recent Surface Pro, you've seen them all. Honestly, if not for the USB-C slot on the side, I wouldn't be able to tell the Surface Pro 7 apart from its predecessor. The two look nearly identical and have the same dimensions. Also, now that I've seen the ARM-based Pro X, I'm a little tired of the Pro 7's chunky bezels. If you've never seen a Surface Pro though, you'll probably appreciate its sturdy frame and well-built kickstand. It looks a little dated compared to other 2-in-1s like the Galaxy Tab S6 and the iPad Pro, but it's still functional. The trouble is, functional might no longer cut it. The whole point of the Surface Pro series is that these are basically notebooks squeezed into the bodies of tablets. Microsoft markets it as a versatile and lightweight convertible laptop. But laptops continue to get thinner and lighter. Just look at the Dell XPS 13 2-in-1 and HP's lighter-than-air Elite Dragonfly. While there may be fewer tablets running Windows that can compete against the Surface Pro, Microsoft also has to pay attention to ultra-portable devices like the Galaxy Book S or even the Pixelbook Go. They run different operating systems and in some cases use weaker processors, but they're aimed at the same constantly traveling professional as the Surface Pro. Like its predecessor, the Pro 7 packs a 12.3-inch Pixel Sense screen. It still runs at a 2736 by 1824 resolution with a 3:2 aspect ratio. Episodes of The Good Place looked crisp and colorful on it while I was taking breaks from writing this review. I pounded out these thoughts on the Surface Pro's type cover, which is the same as before. It's still covered in the Luxe Alcantara fabric and will still cost you an extra $160 because somehow Microsoft didn't see fit to throw in the keyboard case when it dropped the Pro 7's price. As if you'd really want to get this tablet without the type cover anyway. And just as before, the individual keys have ample travel and springy feedback, and the entire layout is well spaced. No buttons here are undersized or out of reach, so I could type accurately and quickly. I only have the slightest complaints about the cover. I'd say it feels a little hollow and is somewhat noisy. I'd also like a bigger trackpad. But those are minor gripes, and this remains without a doubt the best keyboard cover I've ever used. It's like the ThinkPad of made-for-tablet keyboard folios. What I'm most excited for on the Surface Pro 7 is its new USB-C port. It replaces the mini DisplayPort from older models, which honestly, good riddance. I've never used it, and USB-C is far more versatile. You can do so much more with it. Connect a pair of headphones? Check. Charge the device? Check. You can even connect a USB-C hub and plug in even more peripherals. For someone like me, who uses USB-C to charge her laptop and her smartphone, this is a big deal. I have a USB-C charger both at home and in the office, so I no longer have to lug around an extra cable for the Pro 7. I can also use the tablet when I'm at keynotes or covering conventions more easily now, since I can connect a USB-C card reader or Ethernet adapter. Of course, I could also do this with the USB-A port, but now I've got an additional option so I can link more things to the Surface Pro 7 at the same time. There are also some new Surface Pen features that make it easier to edit documents and spreadsheets. When you scroll into an Excel sheet or a Word doc, Microsoft can recognize not just what you're writing, but also how you might be editing a piece. For example, when you're using a regular pen to edit an essay, you might draw a line through words to strike them out. Or you might use a caret sign to indicate that something needs to be inserted. Using these actions will now work in Word as well, though you must first enable ink editor mode. The new gestures function most of the time, though they weren't always accurate. I draw a diagonal line across 2.5 words, and only the last word would be deleted. You need to be quite precise, drawing a straight horizontal line across all the words you want removed. If I didn't have a keyboard connected, this would be a useful method to edit documents in a pinch. But using the keyboard was almost always an easier, more accurate means to make changes. The updates also weren't enough to justify the extra $100 you'd have to shell out for the pen. Microsoft may not have made major improvements to the Surface Pro, but the machines have consistently delivered excellent performance. I watched The Good Place on Hulu while writing a review, editing photos, running benchmarks, messaging my friends, playing Overcooked, and shouting into the void on Twitter. And the Pro 7 never so much as hiccuped. My unit has a 10th generation Intel Core i5 processor and 8 gigs of RAM, and it outperformed last year's Pro 6 with a 9th gen Core i5 CPU on pretty much all of the benchmarks we ran. It fell short of the Dell XPS 13 2-in-1 though. The Pro 7's Intel Iris Pro graphics chip is better than the Pro 6's UHD 620 card, but it isn't meant for heavy gaming, so don't expect to be killing it at Call of Duty here. If you're just looking to play something lightweight, like Overcooked, you'll be fine. Where the new Surface Pro fails to measure up to its predecessor is battery life. On our standard test, the Surface Pro 7 barely lasted 8 hours, while the Pro 6 and other tablet hybrids clocked more than 15 hours. Microsoft did give a lower battery estimate of 10 hours for the Pro 7 compared to the 13 hours it offered for the older model, so this isn't a huge shock. It does seem like a major compromise for almost no gain though. The Surface Pro 7 is ultimately fine, I guess. It doesn't inspire any excitement, but I also can't find much to complain about. Yeah, I was stoked for the introduction of USB-C, but I'm also disappointed it didn't come sooner. The loss in battery life from the previous model is also a shame. It's nice though that Microsoft is offering the Pro 7 at a cheaper starting price of $749, albeit with lower end specs to match. The Pro 6's base model costs $899 and came with a Core i5 chipset and 8 gigs of RAM, compared to the Pro 7's Core i3 CPU and 4 gigs of RAM at the entry level. As laptops get smaller, thinner, and lighter, the Surface Pro line runs the risk of becoming outdated. With the forthcoming Pro X, Microsoft might be able to keep the competition at bay. That thing is about as thin and light as many devices launched this year. But the Pro X runs Windows on ARM, which has serious limitations. In spite of its lackluster battery life, the Surface Pro series is still the best hybrid PC in the market, especially since there are so few competing Windows tablets nowadays. But Microsoft's competition may come from increasingly thin and light laptops rather than tablets that want to be notebooks. If you're looking for something that's specifically a tablet first and occasionally doubles as a PC, the Surface Pro 7 is worth considering. Anyone who wants a thin and light machine to get work done on the go will find there are many ultra-portable laptops available that will better meet those needs. For more in-depth reviews on laptops, smartphones, and wearables, make sure you subscribe to Engadget, and as always, thank you for watching.